Happy Tuesday. This is Mr. Mike for the Mechanicsburg Learning Center with our Dino-A-Day, episode number 8. We're going to jump right into it. Today's dinosaur is really cool, and you may recognize it as looking an awful lot like the star of one of the Jurassic Park movies. This little guy, literally little guy, is called Coelophysis, and it looks an awful lot like the little tiny Compsognathus that attacked somebody in Jurassic Park. Very similar. I'll give you a close-up look here, and then we'll talk about it. This, ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Coelophysis. You can tell by the face, you can tell if you can have a look inside that mouth. This is a theropod, which is the same as a T-Rex or a Velociraptor or the Megalosaurus that we talked about a couple of episodes ago. So the Coelophysis is an interesting animal discovered in 1881. Then in 1889 it was named by famous paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope from Philadelphia. The name Coelophysis means hollow form because, like birds, this little critter had hollow bones. Very, very fast, built for speed. Like the T-Rex, if you can see the foot, it had, let me point them out here, 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. Okay, you can see the black toenails on there. 4 toes, and unlike T-Rex, how many claws? 1, 2, 3. T-Rex has 2, remember that. So Coelophysis, name means hollow form. Discovered in New Mexico with just a couple of scrap pieces, and that's why it took a couple years for them to name it. However, then in the 1940s, a treasure trove of Coelophysis bones were discovered near the very first discovery in New Mexico, which led us to figure out that the Coelophysis lived in big, big packs. The animals were probably swept up in a flash flood, washed downstream, and then literally hundreds and hundreds of complete Coelophysis skeletons were preserved. So it's a very interesting animal in the aspect that, as I've said in previous episodes, sometimes a dinosaur is named after a single bone or a single tooth. Here we had literally 1,000 or so complete skeletons of Coelophysis, from babies to adults. So we knew even how these things grew. There was a time that we believed that the Coelophysis was a cannibal. We know it was a carnivore. Cannibal, you might want to Google that, kids, later. It ate its babies. Well, it was a hypothesis we had because we discovered the fact that in the belly of an adult, we found what we thought was Coelophysis baby bones. Closer inspection revealed them to be a small alligator. So Coelophysis was off the hook for a while. Then in its coprolite, another word you should Google, in the dino poop, they discovered little pieces of baby Coelophysis. So, yeah, they probably did, when it was very hungry, attack other Coelophysis species. And that's just science, kids. That's the way it works. So, it was a carnivore. It was probably a cannibal. It was a theropod relating to T-Rex and Velociraptor, discovered in New Mexico. On the Ghost Ranch in New Mexico has yielded very, very important finds. So this treasure trove of Coelophysis bones were something that scientists never, ever get a chance to experience. Coelophysis is only about 7 to 9 feet long. Now, this particular model is actually not Coelophysis. It is so close to Coelophysis, however, you would never even know, because really the only difference that you could see would be the fact that this is a Compsognathus model, and the Compsognathus was much smaller, literally maybe up to your ankle, okay? But the Coelophysis was larger, 6 to 9 feet long, but physiologically very, very, very similar, okay? Very fast, agile hunter. You can close your mouth now, we're done eating. Good boy. Keep it closed. What's the matter with you? Okay. Don't say anything else. This thing was a very, very early dinosaur, probably lived around 228 to 200 million years ago. So this is an early, early dinosaur. Something interesting about this, if you want to go see the bones of Coelophysis, just go to the State Museum right here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. State Museum of Pennsylvania has a really nice display of Coelophysis. And back, I believe it was 2011, then curator Dr. Robert Sullivan, he and an associate were carving at a big block of mudstone that they believed was filled with Coelophysis bones, which were taken from the Ghost Ranch. However, as they chiseled and chipped, they found something else in there. They found a dinosaur that had never been seen before by human eyes. And that turned out to be a brand new discovery called Daimonosaurus. I'll dedicate that to my nephew, Damon. Daimonosaurus. Sadly, Damon, though, the name actually means demon lizard. So I have a new nickname for you. So anyway, yeah, so when you discover a dinosaur, sometimes it's in an unlikely place, discovered while you're looking for something completely different. So let me read you the story that includes Coelophysis. This is from Dino-A-Day Poetry Volume 1, written by Mr. Mike, illustrated by my son, Ethan. This is called A Trip to the Museum. And I mentioned several ancient animals, so listen for the mention of Coelophysis. Walk down this long hall to the dinosaur room and take note what these creatures like to consume. Some grazed on high treetops and plants by the score, so as a result we say they're herbivore. Some dinosaurs never touched veggies, just meat. The term carnivore explains what they would eat. And then there were omnivores. Here's what they'd chew. Some meat and some plants, frankly, either would do. And now round this corner, the reason we came. Let's try to identify all here by name. Huge, powerful jawbone and leg muscles flex. You're first to encounter the mighty T-Rex. A long crested head that's much bigger than all of us. Step up and look closely at Parasaurolophus. That club on his tail could sure make you feel sore. It's none other than a big ankylosaur. One look at his thumb spikes and I'd sure move on. This beast, he is known as the iguanodon. A 20-foot ostrich? That'd sure cause a fuss. Let's all learn together. It's Gallimimus. Tail feathers, sharp teeth, toes that numbered to 6. He's 3 feet of terror called Caudipteryx. If we walked on by, I hope he would ignore us, the largest known flesh eater, Giganotosaurus. She's 16 feet wide, nearly 14 feet long. That's one giant turtle, the great Archelon. A group of these beasts were caught up in some crisis. That's why we know so much about Coelophysis. And now that our day viewing dinos is done, here's Coelophysis, by the way. And now that our day viewing dinos is done, let's head for the car. The hard rain makes us run. We can't wait to come back and spend some more time researching these creatures and making a rhyme. We're sure when we do, there'll be more poems to read, because our imaginations are easy to feed. A Trip to the Museum, written by Mr. Mike, illustrated by my son Ethan, available from Dino-A-Day Poetry Volume 1. Thanks so much for sharing the videos, getting a lot of feedback. We really appreciate that. I want to say thanks to our sponsors here, the Mechanicsburg Learning Center. I'm Mr. Mike. Until tomorrow, let's do it again where we learn about another Dino-A-Day. Have a great one.